Welcome to today's Explainer. Okay, let's dive right into this fascinating shift happening in the Indian telecom space right now and explore exactly how a state-owned giant is plotting a massive comeback. We're looking at a topic that has completely dominated discussions among mobile users across the country lately. Following recent shifts in the market, a totally new strategy has emerged from the Department of Telecommunications. It's designed to revive BSNL and turn it into a fierce, modern competitor. We're talking about a massive 77,000 crore rupee master plan. And honestly, the way they are funding this without relying on your taxpayer money is a brilliant financial move that we really need to unpack today.
Here is our agenda for today. We'll be covering 1. The telecom dilemma, 2. The 77,000 crore rupiah master plan, 3. Funding the future through asset monetization, 4. Monetization versus privatization, 5. BSNL's current growth reality, and finally, 6. The road to 4G and 5G. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The telecom dilemma.
Let's start with the very real problem that is everyone suddenly looking for alternatives. Following the recent, frankly aggressive tariff hikes from private players like Jio, Airtel, and Vodafone Idea, many of you are naturally looking at BSNL. It's a cost-effective alternative, and the intent to switch is definitely there. But let's be totally honest, there's a heavy dose of skepticism, right? You've got lingering questions about 4G availability, those frustrating call drops, and the elusive wait for 5G. These are the things holding a lot of consumers back. You might be asking yourself, sure, the plan is cheaper, but does the network actually work when I need it to?
And this perfectly illustrates why people care so deeply about this potential BSNL turnaround. There's a massive, undeniable price gap between the key players right now. For an approximate 1 gigabyte per day plan, you are looking at around 299 rupees with private networks like Jio. Meanwhile, BSNL offers a comparable package for just around 199 rupees. Over a year, that is a really significant saving. This pricing makes BSNL an incredibly attractive option if, and obviously it's a big if, they can just fix their network reliability.
Section 2. The 77,000 crore master plan.
So, how does the Department of Telecommunications actually plan to fix those reliability issues? Well, on August 6th, the government presented a highly detailed report to a parliamentary committee. And they didn't just offer empty promises here. They outlined a staggering 77,000 crore rupee capital expenditure master plan. This is a massive, highly targeted financial injection designed to completely transform BSNL over the next 5 years. It's an aggressive blueprint meant to bring the state-owned telco back to life and, quite frankly, give private companies some serious sleepless nights.
The crucial point to understand is their three-pronged strategy. Step 1, they aren't just tweaking the edges of the network, they are massively expanding by installing 2 lakh new 4G sites nationwide, 200,000 sites. Step 2 is all about the actual user experience. They are completely overhauling the existing network infrastructure and customer support to finally fix those dreaded call drops and slow internet speeds. And step 3 is a highly strategic rollout of 5G. They aren't trying to just blanket 5G everywhere at once. They're deploying it specifically in high-traffic, strategic areas first to maximize its impact where it's needed most.
What's really wild is that they have significantly accelerated their timeline to achieve all of this. The overarching target is a massive 98% nationwide coverage footprint, but what's even more impressive from a pure business perspective is their financial target. Originally, they were aiming to balance their expenses and income by the fiscal year 2032. But due to the sheer speed of this new process, they've pulled that operational break-even target all the way up to FY 2029. That shows serious, undeniable confidence in this master plan.
Section 3. Funding the future through asset monetization.
But wait, hearing a number like 77,000 crore immediately brings up a very, very important concern for all of us. When the government announces a multi-billion-dollar equivalent plan, your first thought is naturally, okay, who's paying for this? You might be completely worried that the government is just pouring your hard-earned taxpayer money into a struggling state enterprise. But that is the real twist here. They are utilizing a completely different, frankly brilliant financial strategy to raise these funds.
They're using something called asset monetization. In simple terms, it means generating revenue by selling off, leasing, or using real estate investment trusts on unused, non-core properties. Think of this kind of like having a massive garage sale, getting rid of old, unused furniture or equipment sitting in your garage, and using that cash to fund a brand new, modern renovation for your house. Over the decades, BSNL and MTNL have accumulated thousands of crores worth of prime, unused real estate, empty land, and old buildings. They are finally unlocking the dormant value of those assets.
Let's look at how this actually works in the real world.
MTNL alone holds roughly 50,000 crore rupees in prime real estate across extremely high-value areas in Delhi and Mumbai. A perfect example of this strategy in action, they recently sold a residential complex in Mumbai's hyper-expensive Bandra Kurla complex to NABARD for over 350 crore rupees. Through the National Land Monetization Corporation, their target for this current financial year is to raise 8,000 crore rupees simply from selling unused land and buildings. And the absolute best part? These funds are being injected directly back into building new 4G sites and upgrading the telecom network.
Section 4. Monetization versus privatization.
Now, we need to pause for a second and clear up a very common misconception. When people hear the phrase selling assets, they almost immediately assume the government is privatizing BSNL. Let's clarify the difference right now. Privatization means selling the actual ownership of the telecom company to private entities. That is absolutely not happening here. Under asset monetization, the government retains 100% ownership of BSNL. They are not selling BSNL's active fiber networks or telecom towers. They are merely operating an asset recycling model, trading dead, non-core real estate for modern digital infrastructure, which completely reduces the burden on the taxpayer.
Section 5. BSNL's current growth reality.
So, with all this planning and funding taking place behind the scenes, what are the actual tangible results on the ground today? Well, the numbers indicate that BSNL is already showing serious momentum. In their first quarter results, revenue jumped 4.2%, hitting 5,306 crore rupees. And what's driving this? A massive 12% growth specifically in their mobility business. That means more and more people are actively adopting their mobile services, and that translates directly into bottom-line growth.
And this financial turnaround is backed by real people switching their service. According to a recent TRI report, by the end of the first quarter, BSNL's subscriber base hit a very solid 93 million users. That's 9.3 crore people trusting the network. This absolutely proves that the market demand for a reliable, affordable alternative to the private sector is incredibly strong, and BSNL is actively capturing that demand.
Section 6. The road to 4G and 5G.
Finally, let's look at the actual technology rollout that's going to dictate the long run. They aren't just making promises about the future. The infrastructure is hitting the ground right now. Over 15,290 indigenous 4G sites have already been installed. The 5G rollout isn't just some vague concept anymore. It has officially begun in Delhi. Furthermore, massive new orders for 26,300 extra 4G BTS sites have been placed nationwide. They are partnering closely with tech heavyweights like Tata Consultancy Services and ITI to rapidly, and I mean rapidly, expand their footprint.
What's incredibly empowering about this entire hardware rollout is that the ecosystem is homegrown. BSNL is utilizing completely made-in-India technology through the TCS and C-DOT ecosystem. This is a massive win for the Atmanirbhar Bharat, or Self-Reliant India, initiative. And beyond just national pride, relying on an indigenous network architecture ensures that your user data remains highly secure and localized strictly within the country's borders.
And on top of everything we've discussed, the overarching financial backing from the state remains incredibly strong. In the fiscal year 2025, the government provided a direct capital infusion of 71,940 crore rupees. Moreover, the Department of Telecommunications recently requested an additional 21,588 crore as part of the FY22 revival package. Supported by these heavy capital infusions, BSNL is systematically shedding its old reputation. It really is rising like a phoenix to offer a highly competitive, fast, and affordable alternative, making massive strides particularly in rural and semi-urban areas where the private networks have traditionally been vulnerable.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. You've seen the data. You've seen exactly how they are unlocking unused real estate to fund a massive, homegrown digital infrastructure, completely bypassing your tax rupees. With significantly cheaper daily tariffs and a 77,000 crore master plan actively fixing their network blind spots as we speak, is it time for you to make the switch and port your number? Let that sink in. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.